The AI bubble is about to burst unless this saves it. Everyone in AI loves big numbers. Our model has 7 billion parameters. Ours has 175 billion. Ours has 1 trillion. The AI world is in an arms race. But how long can this actually last? Training dense models is starting to look more expensive, more fragile, and harder to sustain every year. How do we get smarter AI without just throwing more money, more GPUs, and more energy at it? Is the AI bubble bursting, or is there one last Hail Mary that can save LLMs? That's where a mixture of experts, MoE, comes in. Let's talk about it. Dense models, the kind that most of us use today, have one simple rule. Every single parameter is active, every single word. That's like focusing every employee in your company into every single meeting. Sure, you'll cover all bases, but most of them are just zoning out, wasting time, and eating free muffins. And this scales badly. Training GPT-4, Gemini, Claude, and even open weights like Llama 3 require tens of thousands of GPUs, billions of dollars, and massive energy draws. Which is why people are already whispering, is this an AI bubble? Valuations are sky high, compute costs are outpacing revenues. Every new dense model costs more than the last. It's the bigger is better trap, but bigger isn't always smarter, which brings us to a new idea. Instead of scaling with brute force, what if AI models could specialize? Enter MoE, mixture of experts. Instead of firing every neuron for every token, MoE models are built with multiple specialized experts, a lightweight router which decides which experts to call on for each word. In music terms, you've got a full orchestra, but when you're playing jazz night at the cafe, the conductor only calls the bassist, the pianist, the saxist, and the rest of the orchestra sits out. What you get is a model that has massive capacity, but per token it only runs at a fraction of that, cheaper, faster, and smarter. Quick intermission. Just like MoE calls for the right experts at the right time, I need to call on you. If this gives you even one new insight, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and like this video. That's the signal for us to keep this content coming, and it helps us improve and grow. Now, back to the good stuff. Does this actually work, or is it just a clever theory? Let's look at the evidence. First up, Mistral's Mixtral 8x7b, a very catchy name. Mistral is a French AI startup that's been making waves for building open source models that compete with the big American labs. Their Mixtral model is a mixture of experts, 8 experts, each with about 7 billion parameters. Now, the router only calls on 2 experts at a time. That means whilst the capacity of the model is around 47 billion, the active brain power per word is just 13 billion. And yet, when you test it on standard benchmarks, the kind of tests researchers use to check math, reasoning, and code, Mixtral often matches or even beats, say, Llama 2 70B, a much larger, dense model from Meta. In plain English, a leaner MoE model can punch at the same weight as a heavyweight because it uses the right experts at the right time. The second example, DeepSeek. DeepSeek is a Chinese lab that's been moving incredibly fast. Their V3 model is an MoE giant at 671 billion total parameters, but again, only about 37 billion active at a time. On top of that, DeepSeek's invented new tricks to keep the router stable, because one of the big problems with MoE is that the router can overload some experts while others do nothing. This fix made it possible to train and actually use a model of this size. And then they built R1, their reasoning model, on top of this foundation. That's where they added reinforcement learning, so the model can plan its answers step by step instead of just spitting out the most likely next word. DeepSeek also built a small, dense math model, just 7 billion parameters. That's tiny compared to GPT-4, but because it was trained specifically on mathematical reasoning, it actually beats massive generalist models on math benchmarks. So whether it's a huge MoE or a small, dense expert, the pattern is the same. Smart specialization can outperform brute force at scale. So what do these examples prove? They show that MoE is already working in production models. They show that smaller, more specialized models can outperform bigger generalists. That matters, because the AI world is hitting the limits of just making models bigger. These examples prove there's another path forward. Let's zoom out. Why would this matter to you if you're not the kind of person building trillion parameter models in a data center? Take musicians again. Right now, if you want to record an orchestra, you're paying for every single player, whether you use them or not. MoE changes that. You're only paying the violinist and drummer for the song you're recording, but still having the full orchestra available when you need it. That means professional tools that feel out of reach could suddenly become affordable. For the social media manager, you don't care about flops or routing algorithms. You care about speed and cost. Right now, when you ask your AI tool for 20 caption drafts, there is a bill attached, and that bill grows as the models get bigger. MoE means you can get better outputs faster without your subscription price doubling every year. And for the CTO of a mid-sized firm, if you're trying to roll AI into customer service, legal review, compliance, or finance, you can't afford dense model inefficiency. MoE lowers that barrier. Right now, people are asking if AI is a bubble. They're worried about costs, that they don't match revenues, that all the spending will collapse under its own weight. MoE is a potential escape hatch because bubbles burst when the economics stop making sense. Of course, no story is one-sided, and MoE comes with some real catches. The first one's technical. Routing tokens to different experts means a ton of all-to-all communication between GPUs. It's a massive call center, and every customer call has to be transferred across multiple agents before anything is resolved. That back and forth can eat up the time that you thought you were saving. That's the GPU bottleneck. Second, balance. In theory, MoEs should spread the workload across its experts. In practice, the router sometimes gets lazy and keeps picking the same few experts while others just sit idle. DeepSeek tackled this by inventing a new load balancing trick, which is one of the reasons why they could scale to hundreds of billions of parameters without collapse. And third, memory. Even if only 2 experts are active per token, you still need the weights of all the experts stored across GPUs, so you save compute per word, but not always memory. You own a fleet of delivery trucks and only 2 drive at a time, but you still have to keep fuel in all of them. So MoEs save computing power, they're more efficient, but they bring their own engineering headaches. We've hit the scaling wall. The just make it bigger approach is running into physical and economic limits, energy use, chip supply, and capital costs. At the same time, there's this AI bubble narrative that all the money pouring in is unsustainable because the costs don't match the returns. Mixture of experts, MoE, points to a hypothetical way out. Smarter routing instead of brute force. Specialization instead of general bloat. Models that deliver more value without eating infinite compute. That's the shift. It's technical, it's economic, and in bubbles, economics decides who survives. So it remains to be seen if the impact will be significant enough. MoE is proof that intelligence is the same for us as it is for AI. It's about picking the right expert at the right time. The bottom line is this: can we continue scaling at the current rate? No. Is AI at a critical junction? Yes. Will AI become cheaper, faster, more specialized? Or have we maxed out on the hype and the bubble is already burst? Let me know in the comments.